Let me ask you a question. What is the one thing that almost everyone is chasing every single day? It's not success. It's not greatness. It's not freedom. It's comfort. People wake up looking for the easiest route to work and look for the easiest task to complete. They search for the quickest solution, the shortest path, the least amount of effort required to get through the day. Modern society has become obsessed with convenience. Everything is designed to make life easier, faster, and more comfortable. While comfort may feel good in the moment, there is a dangerous truth that very few people are willing to face. Comfort is often the very thing that is keeping them trapped. Think about it. Every major achievement in human history came from someone willing to endure discomfort. Nobody builds a strong body by sitting on a couch. Nobody creates financial freedom by avoiding risk. Nobody develops confidence by hiding from challenges. Growth has always demanded sacrifice. It has always required effort. It has always asked people to step into uncertainty and face resistance. Yet most people spend their lives trying to eliminate resistance entirely. They want the rewards without the struggle. They want the results without the process. They want the victory without the battle. The problem is that comfort slowly changes the way you think. It doesn't destroy your potential overnight. It doesn't announce its arrival like an enemy. It enters quietly. It convinces you that skipping one workout isn't a big deal. It tells you that sleeping in for another hour won't matter. It whispers that you can start tomorrow. Then tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. Before you know it, years have passed and you've further been met. We're standing in the exact same place wondering why your life hasn't changed. Potential is one of the most misunderstood concepts in the world. People love talking about potential because it sounds impressive. They say someone has incredible potential. They say a young athlete has potential. They say a business has potential. But potential itself means nothing unless it is converted into action. The graveyard is filled with unrealized potential. There are people who could have become extraordinary leaders, entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, and innovators. They had the intelligence. They had the opportunities. They had the talent. They also had a love affair with comfort. And comfort, one of the harshest realities of life, is that the world does not reward what you could have done. It rewards what you actually did. It doesn't care how talented you are if you never use your talent. It doesn't care how smart you are if you never apply your knowledge. It doesn't care about your dreams if they remain trapped inside your imagination. The marketplace rewards execution. Reality rewards action. Results reward effort. Look at the strongest people you know. Not physically strong, mentally strong. The individuals who remain calm under pressure, who stay focused during chaos, who continue moving forward when things become difficult. Do you think they were born that way? Of course not. They became that way because they repeatedly exposed themselves to discomfort. Every challenge they faced became a training session for their character. Every obstacle made them stronger. Every difficult moment expanded their capacity to handle future difficulties. The human mind is incredibly adaptable. Whatever you repeatedly do becomes normal. If you constantly avoid hard things, weakness becomes normal. If you consistently embrace difficult things, strength becomes normal. This is why comfort is so dangerous. It trains you to expect ease. It conditions your mind to believe that life should always feel good. Then the moment real adversity appears, you panic because you have never developed the ability to handle resistance. Imagine two people. One spends years choosing comfort. He avoids challenges whenever possible. He quits when things become difficult. He seeks pleasure and convenience every day. The other person deliberately chooses difficult tasks. He exercises when he doesn't feel like it. He studies when others are relaxing. He works on his goals while everyone else is distracted. Fast forward 10 years. Do you think these two people will have the same mindset, the same opportunities, the same level of confidence? Not a chance. Their daily decisions have created completely different identities. This is what most people fail to understand. Success is rarely about one giant decision. It is usually the result of thousands of small choices made over time. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you cast a vote for the person you are becoming. Every time you choose discipline over convenience, you cast a vote for a stronger version of yourself. Your future is being shaped right now by the decisions you make when nobody is watching. Comfort also creates illusions. It makes people believe they have more time than they actually do. They assume they can pursue their dreams later. They think they can improve their health next year. They tell themselves they'll become serious about their goals when the timing feels right. But life doesn't wait. Time keeps moving whether you're prepared or not. Every day that passes is a day that can never be recovered. The most dangerous phrase in the world might be, "I'll do it later." Later has destroyed more dreams than failure ever could. Later has convinced talented people to remain average. Later has robbed ambitious people of their greatest opportunities. Later feels harmless because it doesn't hurt immediately, but over time, it accumulates into regret memory. The truth is that discomfort is not your enemy. Discomfort is often evidence that growth is taking place. When your muscles burn during a workout, they are adapting. When your mind struggles to learn a new skill, it is expanding. When you feel nervous before taking a risk, you are stepping beyond your current limitations. Discomfort is frequently the doorway to transformation. The people who achieve extraordinary things understand this principle deeply. They stop asking, "How can I make this easier?" and start asking, "How can this make me stronger?" That shift changes everything. Instead of running away from difficulty, they begin using difficulty as a tool. Instead of fearing challenges, they recognize them as opportunities to develop resilience. Think about every area of life that truly matters. Building a successful business is difficult. Developing a powerful physique is difficult. Creating financial freedom is difficult. Becoming emotionally resilient is difficult. Maintaining high standards is difficult. The greatest rewards in life are almost always located on the other side of sustained effort. That's why so few people reach them. Most people turn around the moment the road becomes uncomfortable. The irony is that avoiding discomfort creates greater suffering in the long run. Skipping workouts feels comfortable today, but poor health becomes painful later. Avoiding difficult conversations feels comfortable now, but damaged relationships become painful later. Refusing to pursue your goals feels safe today, but regret becomes painful later. The discomfort you avoid in the present often transforms into a much larger problem in the future. This is why every day presents a challenge. Every morning asks the same question. Will you choose comfort or will you choose growth? Will you follow your feelings or will you follow your standards? Will you remain the person you are today or will you take one more step toward becoming the person you are capable of becoming? Because at the end of the day, your potential is not determined by your talent, your background, your intelligence, or your circumstances. Your potential is determined by your willingness to repeatedly do what is difficult when doing what is easy would feel far more comfortable. The moment you stop worshiping comfort and start embracing challenge, you begin unlocking abilities, strengths, and opportunities that most people never discover because they never stay in the fight long enough to find them. Let me tell you something that most people never want to hear. The life you dream about is not hiding behind motivation. It's hiding behind discipline. Motivation is exciting. Motivation feels powerful. Motivation gives you that rush of energy where you feel like you can conquer the world. You watch an inspiring video, read a great book, listen to a powerful speech, and suddenly you feel unstoppable. For a few hours, maybe a few days, you're convinced that everything is about to change. But then reality arrives. The alarm clock rings at 5 in the morning. The weather is cold. You're tired. The gym feels far away. Work feels overwhelming. The excitement disappears. That's the exact moment where discipline begins. Most people mistakenly believe that successful individuals operate differently. They imagine that high achievers wake up every day overflowing with energy and enthusiasm. They think the top performers are somehow immune to laziness, doubt, frustration, and fatigue. That's not reality. The difference is not that successful people always feel motivated. The difference is that they have trained themselves to act regardless of how they feel. Think about how many dreams have been abandoned because someone stopped feeling motivated. How many businesses were never started because excitement faded? How many books were never written because inspiration disappeared? How many goals were never achieved because the process became boring? The graveyard of unrealized dreams is filled with people who depended on motivation. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is logical. Motivation says, "I'll do it when I feel ready." Discipline says, "I will do it because it needs to be done." Motivation asks for perfect conditions. Discipline creates results under imperfect conditions. Motivation waits. Discipline moves. This is why discipline is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. It allows you to separate your actions from your emotions. It teaches you that your feelings do not get to decide your future. Too many people live as prisoners of their emotions. If they feel good, they work. If they feel bad, they stop. If they feel inspired, they push forward. If they feel discouraged, they quit. Their entire life becomes controlled by temporary moods. The problem with living that way is that feelings change constantly. Some mornings you wake up confident. Other mornings you wake up uncertain. Some days you feel strong. Other days you feel weak. Some moments you're excited about your goals. Other moments you're questioning everything. If your actions depend on your feelings, your progress will always be inconsistent. Discipline changes the equation. Discipline teaches you that your commitment matters more than your emotions. It teaches you that your standards are more important than your moods. It reminds you that success is not built on days when you feel great. Success is built on days when you don't feel great and still do the work anyway. Imagine an athlete preparing for a championship. Do you think they enjoy every training session? Do you think they love every early morning workout, every exhausting drill, every painful repetition? Of course not. There are days when they would rather stay in bed. There are days when their bodies ache and their minds are tired. Yet they continue, because they understand something most people never learn. Winners are not defined by what they do when they feel like it. They are defined by what they do when they don't. Same principle applies to every area of life. Building wealth requires discipline. Maintaining your health requires discipline. Creating meaningful relationships requires discipline. Learning valuable skills requires discipline. Every worthwhile achievement demands consistency, and consistency is impossible without discipline. One of the biggest lies people tell themselves is that they need to feel ready before they begin. They wait for confidence before taking action. They wait for certainty before making a move. They wait for courage before facing a challenge. Confidence is not the starting point. Confidence is the result. Confidence is created by action. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your belief in your own capabilities. Think about the relationship you have with yourself. Every time you say you're going to do something and then fail to do it, you're teaching yourself that your word cannot be trusted. You tell yourself you'll wake up early, but you hit snooze. You promise yourself you'll start working out, but you postpone it. You decide you'll focus on your goals, but distractions take over. Over time, your self-respect begins to erode, because deep down, you know you're not honoring your own commitments. Discipline restores that trust. Every time you follow through on a promise, no matter how small, you strengthen your identity. You begin proving to yourself that your words carry weight. You start becoming someone who can be relied upon, not just by others, but by yourself. There is also a hidden power within discipline that most people overlook. Discipline creates freedom. At first, that idea sounds strange, because discipline feels restrictive. It requires structure, sacrifice, and self-control. But when you look deeper, you realize that discipline is what creates options. Financial discipline creates wealth. Physical discipline creates health. Mental discipline creates focus. Emotional discipline creates stability. Without discipline, people become slaves to impulses. They spend money they shouldn't spend. They eat things they shouldn't eat. They waste time they can't afford to waste. Make decisions based on temporary desires rather than long-term goals. What feels like freedom in the moment often becomes a prison later. Look around at the world today. Distraction is everywhere. Entertainment is available every second of the day. Social media competes for your attention. Notifications interrupt your focus. Comfort is available on demand. Never before has it been so easy to avoid difficult work. And because it's so easy to avoid, discipline has become even more valuable. The ability to sit down and focus when everyone else is distracted is a superpower. The ability to stay committed when everyone else is quitting is a superpower. The ability to continue moving forward when progress feels slow is a superpower. These abilities are not gifts. They are developed through practice. Every day gives you opportunities to strengthen discipline. Every difficult task is a chance to train your mind. Every temptation resisted is a victory. Every promise kept is a step forward. Most people underestimate how much power exists in these small daily decisions. They think success comes from one massive breakthrough. In reality, success is often the accumulation of countless moments where someone chose discipline over comfort. There will be days when you don't want to work. There will be days when you don't want to exercise. There will be days when you don't want to learn, improve, or push yourself. Those days are not exceptions to the process. They are the process. Anyone can perform when conditions are perfect. Anyone can work when they're inspired. Anyone can stay focused when everything is going their way. True test comes when circumstances become difficult. True test comes when nobody is watching. True test comes when excuses are available and quitting seems reasonable. That is where character is revealed. That is where discipline separates itself from motivation. When you repeatedly force yourself to do what is necessary instead of what is comfortable, something remarkable begins to happen. Your mind becomes stronger. Your standards become higher. Your confidence becomes deeper. You stop negotiating with yourself every morning. You stop looking for shortcuts. You stop searching for easy answers. You begin to understand that success isn't about feeling powerful every day. It's about acting with purpose every day. It's about showing up when enthusiasm disappears. It's about maintaining standards when nobody is holding you accountable. It's about continuing the mission regardless of temporary emotions. The strongest people in the world are not necessarily the most talented, the smartest, or the luckiest. Often, they are simply the most disciplined. They have learned how to control themselves. They have learned how to take action despite resistance. They have learned how to do what needs to be done even when every part of them wants to do something else. And once a person masters that skill, once they stop waiting for motivation and start relying on discipline, they become extraordinarily difficult to stop. Because they no longer depend on feelings to determine their actions. They depend on standards, commitments, and a relentless willingness to execute regardless of the circumstances in front of them. Let me ask you a question. Who are you when things get difficult? Not when life is easy. Not when everything is working in your favor. Not when you're winning, comfortable, and receiving praise from everyone around you. Who are you when you are exhausted, frustrated, challenged, facing obstacles that seem impossible to overcome? Because that version of you is the version that truly matters. Most people spend their lives trying to build confidence through words. They repeat positive affirmations. They tell themselves they are capable. They read motivational quotes and listen to inspiring messages. While there is nothing wrong with positive thinking, confidence is not created by what you say to yourself. Confidence is created by what you prove to yourself. Think about it. If someone told you they were a champion boxer but had never stepped into a ring, would you believe them? If someone claimed to be a successful entrepreneur but had never built a business, would you trust their words? Of course not. Words alone are cheap. The same principle applies to the promises you make to yourself. Your mind is constantly looking for evidence. It doesn't care about your intentions. It cares about your actions. This is why doing hard things every day is so powerful. Every difficult challenge you complete becomes proof. Every obstacle you overcome becomes evidence. Every moment you push through resistance sends a message to your mind that says, I am stronger than I thought. Over time, those pieces of evidence begin stacking on top of each other until they create something incredibly powerful, an identity. Most people focus on goals. They want more money. They want a better body. They want greater success. They want respect and recognition. But the most successful people understand that goals are temporary. Identity is permanent. Goals tell you what you want to achieve. Identity determines the kind of person you become. Imagine someone who wants to get in shape. They might start exercising because they have a goal of losing weight. At first, the goal motivates them, but eventually motivation fades. The workouts become repetitive. Progress slows down. Results take longer than expected. This is the point where many people quit. Why? Because they are still focused on the goal. They have not transformed their identity. Now imagine someone else who begins exercising and gradually starts seeing themselves differently. They stop saying, I'm trying to work out. Instead, they say, I am a disciplined person. They stop saying, I'm trying to be healthy. Instead, they say, I am someone who takes care of my body. The behavior is no longer connected to a temporary objective. It becomes part of who they are. That is the hidden gift of doing difficult things. It changes your self-image. Every challenge completed becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. Every act of discipline strengthens a new identity. Every moment of courage reinforces a new belief about yourself. The strongest people in the world understand this principle. They don't see adversity as punishment. They see adversity as training. They recognize that difficult situations reveal strengths that comfort can never develop. A person who has never faced hardship has no idea how strong they really are. A person who has never been tested has no proof of their capabilities. Look at history. Every great leader, athlete, entrepreneur, and warrior faced challenges that forced them to grow. None of them developed resilience through comfort. None of them built character through convenience. They became extraordinary because life demanded more from them, and they answered that demand with action. One reason people avoid difficult things is because they fear failure. They worry about making mistakes. They worry about looking foolish. They worry about what other people might think. What they fail to realize is that avoiding challenges does not protect their identity. It weakens it. Every time you run away from a challenge, you send a message to yourself that says, I can't handle this. Every time you avoid discomfort, you reinforce a belief that you are fragile. Over time, these beliefs become deeply rooted. They create a version of yourself that is hesitant, uncertain, and afraid that you're. The opposite is also true. Every time you confront difficulty, even if you struggle, you send a completely different message. You tell yourself, I can face hard things. Even if you don't succeed immediately, you gain something more valuable than victory. You gain evidence of courage. This is why failure is not always the enemy people think it is. Failure often becomes one of the most powerful teachers in life. Every setback forces you to adapt. Every mistake teaches you something new. Every challenge reveals weaknesses that need improvement. The people who become unstoppable are not those who avoid failure. They are those who refuse to let failure define them. Think about the person you were 5 years ago. Chances are you've survived problems that once seemed overwhelming. There were moments when you doubted yourself. There were situations that caused stress, uncertainty, and fear. Yet here you are. You survived them. You adapted. You continued moving forward. What seemed impossible at one point eventually became part of your story. That process never ends. Life continuously presents new challenges because growth requires new levels of strength. The moment you conquer one obstacle, another appears. The moment you solve one problem, a larger one arrives. This is not a flaw in life. This is how life develops people into stronger versions of themselves. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that confidence comes before action. They think they need to feel confident before taking risks. They think they need certainty before pursuing opportunities. They think they need courage before stepping into discomfort. Confidence is not the cause. Confidence is the effect. Confidence is created through action. It is earned through experience. It grows every time you prove to yourself that you can survive challenges. It expands every time you take responsibility instead of making excuses. It becomes stronger every time you choose growth over comfort. Imagine carrying a heavy weight every day. At first it feels impossible. Your muscles ache. Your body struggles. You wonder if you'll ever become strong enough. But over time, something changes. The weight doesn't become lighter. You become stronger. The exact same principle applies to life. Challenges do not necessarily disappear. You simply develop the strength required to handle them. This is why difficult experiences often create the strongest individuals. Hardship forces adaptation. Pressure creates resilience. Resistance builds capability. The very things most people try to avoid are often the things that have the greatest potential to transform them. An unbreakable identity is not built in moments of comfort. It is built in moments of struggle. It is built when you keep moving despite fear. It is built when you continue working despite exhaustion. It is built when you remain committed despite setbacks. Every difficult decision strengthens the foundation of your character. Eventually, something remarkable happens. You stop seeing yourself as someone who occasionally does hard things. You begin seeing yourself as someone who can handle hard things. Challenges no longer intimidate you the way they once did. Obstacles no longer appear as threats. They become opportunities to demonstrate the person you have become more. You develop a quiet confidence that doesn't depend on praise, recognition, or external validation. You know what you've endured. You know the battles you fought. You know the promises you've kept when nobody was watching. That knowledge creates a level of self-respect that cannot be taken away by critics, circumstances, or temporary failures. Because at the deepest level, identity is not created by what happens to you. Identity is created by how you respond to what happens to you. Every challenge presents a choice. Every obstacle presents a decision. Every difficult moment asks the same question. Will you retreat into comfort, or will you step forward into growth? The answer you give repeatedly becomes the story you tell yourself about who you are, and that story eventually becomes the foundation upon which your entire life is built. As we come to the end of this conversation, I want you to remember one simple truth. Your future is not being shaped by what you do once in a while. It is being shaped by what you do every single day. Success is not a mysterious gift given to a lucky few. It is the natural consequence of repeatedly choosing what is difficult over what is easy. The world is filled with people waiting for the perfect moment. They are waiting to feel motivated, waiting to feel confident, waiting for circumstances to improve, waiting for life to become easier. While they wait, time continues to move. Days become months. Months become years. Opportunities disappear. Potential fades. Dreams remain trapped inside the imagination. People who achieve extraordinary results understand something different. They understand that comfort is seductive, but growth lives on the other side of discomfort. They understand that discipline matters more than feelings. They understand that confidence is not something you think your way into. It is something you earn through action. Most importantly, they understand that every difficult challenge conquered becomes a building block of an unbreakable identity. So when this speech ends, don't ask yourself whether you feel inspired. Inspiration is temporary. Ask yourself what hard thing you are going to do today. What challenge have you been avoiding? What goal have you been postponing? What excuse have you been repeating to yourself for months, maybe even years? Because the life you want is hiding behind the actions you keep avoiding. Your body becomes stronger when it faces resistance. Your mind becomes stronger when it faces pressure. Your character becomes stronger when it faces adversity. Every day gives you a choice. You can choose comfort and remain exactly where you are, or you can choose challenge and become someone greater. Years from now, you will either look back with pride or with regret. Pride comes from knowing you showed up when it was difficult. Pride comes from knowing you kept going when others quit. Pride comes from knowing you refused to surrender your potential for temporary comfort. Regret comes from opportunities ignored, challenges avoided, and dreams left unfinished. The next level of your life is not waiting for more motivation. It is waiting for more courage. It is waiting for more discipline. It is waiting for your decision to embrace difficulty instead of running from it. Starting today, make a promise to yourself. Do the workout when you don't feel like it. Do the work when nobody is watching. Have the difficult conversation. Learn the skill. Take the risk. Face the challenge. Keep the promise. Become the person who acts regardless of mood, circumstances, or excuses. Because every day you choose the hard path, you separate yourself from the crowd. Every day you embrace discomfort, you unlock another level of strength. Every day you refuse to quit, you build a version of yourself that is stronger, sharper, and more capable than the person you were yesterday. And one day, when everyone wonders how you became so confident, so disciplined, so resilient, and so successful, you'll know the answer. You simply did the hard things that others refuse to do every single day.